Have you ever stopped to think about the strange things that can happen when no one is watching? Well, some security cameras end up recording very bizarre moments, from inexplicable behavior to appearances that leave anyone speechless. It is the kind of thing that makes you hit replay several times, trying to understand what really happened, and that is exactly what you are going to see here today. So go ahead and leave your like, click the subscribe button down below, and let's go. In an ordinary pet shop, the kind full of pet food, toys, and barking in the background, a strange situation ended up drawing attention after security footage surfaced. The place was operating normally, with customers walking through the aisles until a detail in the background of the recording became a topic of discussion. A man appears walking behind a woman who was browsing products. No running, no confusion. Just a proximity that was way too strange for an environment like that. At a certain moment, he leans in a curious way, getting far too close to her, as if he were analyzing something that definitely was not on the shelf. The woman does not notice anything at the time and keeps choosing items. The man, on the other hand, maintains that strange behavior for a few seconds, then walks away as if nothing had happened. Anyone who watches the footage later is left with the same question: what exactly was he doing back there? The detail that made everything even more bizarre is the setting. A pet shop full of dogs all around, and anyone who has pets at home knows that sniffing from behind is practically a habit among them, but in this case, it was not a dog following its instincts. When the video started circulating, many people reacted with indignation. Comments appeared comparing the man's behavior to that of the animals themselves, as if he had gotten way too caught up in the environment. In the end, it left that feeling of secondhand embarrassment mixed with disbelief. A man was sitting at the table in his living room, focused on his work, when everything changed in a single second. He was typing normally, surrounded by silence, when the glass table simply exploded. No warning, no visible impact, just a sharp noise and shards spreading across the room. The strangest part is his reaction. Instead of standing up or running away, the man stays still for a few moments, clearly trying to understand what just happened. His body does not react. He looks around, confused, as if his brain were still processing the shock. Images from the scene show that there was no one outside and no object thrown against the glass. This raises a common question in cases like this: how can glass shatter out of nowhere? Experts explain that this type of situation can happen for several reasons. A sudden change in temperature is one of them. Glass heated during the day can suffer stress when it cools down quickly. Another possible factor is a small internal defect, sometimes invisible, that builds up until the material can no longer withstand it. Even constant vibrations, such as heavy traffic nearby, can contribute. Despite the huge scare, no one was injured. In a mechanic shop, a situation that seemed completely under control almost ended in tragedy due to a matter of seconds. A mechanic was inside the garage guiding a driver to park the car. A common scene. He was gesturing, signaling to turn the steering wheel a bit and move forward slowly, as he does every day. The vehicle was moving slowly, aligning with the entrance, when something unexpected happened. A second car appeared from behind and hit the rear with force. The impact pushed the front car forward all at once, throwing it into the garage with no chance for the driver to react. The most tense detail of the scene is the mechanic's position. He was exactly in front of the car that was hit. At the moment of the collision, purely by reflex, he managed to get out of the way and throw himself to the side. It was a matter of a fraction of a second. If he had taken just a little longer, the outcome could have been very different. Fortunately, no one was injured. At a construction site, a scene that was both curious and tense at the same time was recorded by cameras and drew attention precisely because of how absurd it was. A worker was operating a compactor, the kind used to level soil, when something went wrong. In just a few seconds, the machine began to move on its own, advancing without anyone controlling it. The operator notices it immediately and tries to stop it from going away. He runs after it and grabs onto the structure in a desperate attempt to slow the equipment down using his arms. It does not work. The compactor keeps moving forward, steady as if it had a will of its own. In the most unbelievable sequence, the worker ends up falling on top of the machine. The image looks like someone trying to ride a wild horse, except it is made of metal and has no chance of obedience. He stays there for a few moments, trying to balance and control the situation, but soon realizes there is no way to overcome that force. Unable to hold on, he lets go, and the compactor continues moving on its own through the site until it completely leaves the camera frame. The worker is left behind. Luckily, there were no other people in the machine's path, and no one was hit. In an ordinary store, the kind with narrow aisles and cameras in every corner, a recording ended up going viral for a reason that was, to say the least, embarrassing. The video shows a man walking calmly through the place, looking at products, unhurried like any customer on a normal day. At a certain moment, he stops near a shelf and makes a quick movement, one of those discreet ones, directed toward the back. Anyone watching notices immediately. That famous strategic scratch, thinking no one is watching. The problem comes right after. Without realizing the presence of the camera, the man brings his hand to his face and gives it a basic check. He looks thoughtful, as if evaluating something, and then, to everyone's surprise, he repeats the gesture, another sniff just to be sure. The entire moment lasts only a few seconds, but it is enough to leave anyone unsure whether to laugh or feel secondhand embarrassment. The detail that made everything even more ironic is the setting. A clean, organized store, but having to witness a disgusting scene like that. On a narrow road, surrounded by snow on both sides, a car was driving slowly, trying to maintain control on the completely white surface. Visibility was poor, and the asphalt was barely visible. Inside the vehicle, everything seemed tense but under control until something changed in a terrifying way. Coming from the opposite direction, a truck appears and suddenly loses all stability. It begins sliding sideways, crossing the road. The distance between the two closes far too quickly. Inside the car, people panic, screams, and that certainty that there is nothing else to do. The truck grows larger in the frame with every second. It seems inevitable. The woman sitting in the passenger seat, who was filming the trip, gets so scared that she instinctively turns the phone away, as if she did not want to record what was about to happen. The atmosphere feels like the end. No one speaks. They only scream. But then, when everything seemed lost, something unexpected happens. The truck begins to reduce its slide in an almost divine way. The wheels find a minimal amount of grip. Slowly, it decelerates and stops, still sideways, but without hitting the car. Silence takes over the vehicle for a few seconds. Then comes the relief, almost unbelievable. There was no crash, no one was hurt. It was just a massive scare caught on video. The feeling was that a greater force had intervened at the last second, as if somehow they had been spared. What a scare. On a busy road, an unusual scene was recorded by a dashboard camera. A car driving normally noticed something wrong ahead. A pickup truck was traveling without one of its tires, completely flat, the rim practically scraping the asphalt, but the driver kept going as if nothing were happening. The situation got worse when, on a stretch of the road, the pickup lost control and ended up crashing into a wall. But to everyone's surprise, the vehicle did not stop. Even after the crash, the driver kept going, with the tire destroyed and parts of the car visibly damaged. The person recording everything with the dash camera decided to follow the scene from a distance. The pickup continued driving for a few more meters until it finally pulled into a gas station and stopped. There, the atmosphere changed. The driver of the car that was filming got closer to check if everything was okay. He directly asked the pickup driver if there had been a serious problem. The man said everything was fine and explained that he had hit a pothole in the road, which supposedly caused the tire problem. Among so many strange videos that appear on the internet, one in particular managed to unsettle millions of people. The images show an ordinary street, a fixed camera, nothing that seems out of the ordinary at first glance. There, a man walks with a child, and a woman walks with a bucket full of a strange liquid that she spills on the ground. The most disturbing theory said that it was not just any liquid but blood, and that the man beside her was kidnapping the girl, meaning there were two crimes in a single video. From that point on, the story took on even more macabre tones. The video was published without a clear explanation. The number of views exploded overnight. Comments piled up, each one bringing a darker interpretation than the last. The sense of mystery only increased when the same video reappeared days later, this time accompanied by tense and disturbing music. Only at the end was everything clarified. After direct contact with the video's creator, the truth came out. There was no murder and no kidnapping. The spilled liquid was just motor oil, the kind used in cars, which ended up spread across the street, and the man beside the child was her father. This case became proof of how the internet can turn something ordinary into a terrifying story in a matter of hours. Sometimes the real mystery is not in the video, but in the way the human mind fills in what it does not understand. Unfortunately, you cannot even fully trust those who claim to be friends anymore. In a hallway of a residential building, two friends appear talking and even laughing together, as if it were just another ordinary meeting. Nothing there indicated that moments later, that scene would end in tragedy. Everything happened in Heathtown, England. Sean Bull and Paulius Petraziunas knew each other, and according to the investigation, had met after a negotiation involving illicit drugs. Something during that interaction bothered Sean, possibly an attitude or a phone call answered by Paulius. The shift in mood was quick and almost imperceptible to anyone watching from the outside. Security cameras recorded the moment when the situation spiraled out of control. Paulius was seriously injured and did not survive. What shocked investigators the most was Sean's behavior right after. The footage shows him leaving the place calmly, walking through the streets as if nothing had happened, carrying the object used in the attack and later trying to hide it. The police launched an intense search, analyzing hours and hours of footage from cameras spread throughout the region. 2 days later, Sean was located in another city. With him were indications that directly linked him to the crime. Months later, after cross-referencing images and information, officers also found the object used, which had been hidden. During the process, Sean presented contradictory versions of what had happened, but the evidence spoke louder. The court considered the set of images, testimonies, and forensic analyses sufficient to confirm his responsibility. He was convicted and awaits a final sentence, which is expected to result in many years in prison. After all of this, the images of two friends laughing shortly before the tragedy continued to haunt viewers. What was supposed to be just another ordinary delivery ended up becoming one of the most bizarre stories ever recorded by security cameras in California. Residents woke up expecting to find only packages at their door, but instead encountered something completely unexpected. The images show a delivery woman leaving the package normally. Up to that point, everything is fine. The problem is what happens seconds later. The woman looks around, positions herself right in front of the residents, and does something no one would ever expect to see recorded on a home camera. And the most unbelievable part is that it did not happen just once. About 20 minutes later, on another street very close by, the same woman appears, repeating the scene in front of a second house. Residents, after watching the footage, were shocked and reported feelings of disgust and disbelief. One of them said that what should have been a Mother's Day gift ended up becoming one of the worst morning starts possible. The recordings quickly spread and caught the attention of authorities and the delivery company responsible. The justification for the behavior was never made clear, since the two episodes happened within a short interval and in different locations, both in residential areas. After the backlash, the company stated that it had identified the delivery woman, who was working as an independent contractor, and that she was immediately dismissed. An apology was issued to the affected families, making it clear that this type of behavior is completely unacceptable. That is one delivery no one wants. In a quiet neighborhood in California, a quick reaction prevented what could have ended in tragedy. A young woman was leaving her home in Union City when something across the street caught her attention. A white car was parked, and several people wearing masks were getting out of it. That scene did not look normal at all. At that very moment, she realized she was in danger. Without thinking twice, the girl turned around and ran back inside the house. Security cameras recorded the moment when the group still tried to approach, running after her, but fortunately, she managed to get inside and close the door. Already safe, the young woman alerted her family, who immediately called the police. Realizing they had been seen and that residents were on alert, the suspects gave up and fled the scene quickly. Preventing the situation from escalating, Union City Police confirmed that they opened an investigation and asked for the community's help with any information that might lead to identifying the group. The case drew attention precisely because of the girl's composure and quick thinking, even in the face of fear. Proof that sometimes a few seconds make all the difference. 12. In a very calm scene in India, a young man was lying on the floor resting, while his mother enjoyed relaxing on the sofa. Everything seemed normal, just an ordinary moment of rest at home. Suddenly, without any apparent explanation, a box that was next to the young man containing a computer keyboard fell to the ground right beside him. The impact was enough to draw attention, but there was no one nearby who could have touched the box. Both of them were left perplexed, unable to understand what had happened. The young man looked around, spoke with his mother, but they did not have a clear answer for what that was. An elderly man was sweeping the sidewalk in front of his own house, as he does every day, unhurried, when a car suddenly appears out of nowhere, out of control, and passes dangerously close. The vehicle even hits part of the house's gate, and the man barely manages to move away in time. His heart races, his hands shake, and the shock is enormous. Fortunately, he was not seriously injured, but the scare was so intense that he needed support from people nearby, who immediately came to calm him down. This type of accident catches anyone off guard. The street that seemed calm turned into a scene of tension in seconds. Situations like this remind us that even during routine tasks, life can throw unexpected surprises. Deborah never imagined that an ordinary day at work would end in tragedy. It was June of 2018 in Boulder, Colorado, when she was found unresponsive in the laundry room of a trailer park office. Her husband, Scott Jones, in a panic, claimed that she had fallen, but the investigation soon revealed that it was not an accident. Deborah, a dedicated chef at the University of Colorado Boulder, was the mother of 2 children and worked hard to support the family, while Scott took care of the household routine. But life in the trailer park hid long-standing tensions, frequent arguments, threats, and possibly deadly jealousy. A hidden camera at the site recorded the final moments. The footage showed Scott and Deborah arguing until he lost control and attacked her, leaving her unconscious on the floor without immediately calling for help.
I'm trapped. Get away from me. You make me feel terrible. I'm gone, man. Oh my God. Oh my God.
The couple had a history of serious problems. Friends and neighbors reported that Scott showed possessive and impulsive behavior. He had made threats against Deborah in the past and, shortly before the crime, sent threatening messages showing that his anger had escalated to dangerous levels. The children witnessed the scene and were later removed by Child Protective Services. Scott initially denied the crime, claiming that Deborah had suffered a fall or a health issue, but the recording revealed the truth. During the trial in 2019, he was found guilty of second-degree murder and child abuse, receiving 48 years in prison. Today, the children live with Deborah's relatives, while Scott serves the maximum sentence, and the story remains one of the most shocking, having been solved thanks to the camera that was there. Do not forget to subscribe to watch more videos like this.